wrestler, like when I compete, I want to be fearless.
Right.
And
with the NCAA season kicking off this week, I wanted to talk about the best pound-for-pound wrestler in all of the NCAA right now, Mitchell Mesenbrink. Coming fresh off a U23 World Championship at 74 kilograms, Mesenbrink just knocked off the reigning world champion at this weight class at the senior level, showing that he is levels above the field. Also during this tournament, Mitchell showed that he might not only be the best wrestler in college wrestling, but also in the world. Last season for Mitchell Mesenbrink, it showed that he's levels above everyone at 165 pounds. He would have 27 wins and 0 losses. He also had the best bonus percentage out of everyone who competed at the NCAA tournament last year. In his 2 years at Penn State, he's been nothing but lights out, only having 1 career loss to this date, and it looks like he won't ever lose again in college. But things didn't always start this bright for Mitchell Mesenbrink. So how did someone who is considered a late bloomer in the sport become the best pound-for-pound wrestler in the sport today? So let's take a deep dive into Mitchell Mesenbrink and how he became a pound-for-pound great, and maybe, just maybe, the best wrestler in the world today. The Askren Wrestling Academy has been producing some of the best athletes in the sport as of late. Guys like Parker Kinkaisen, Keegan O'Toole, the Mirasola twins, Aiden Sinclair, and of course Mitchell Mesenbrink. AWA was started by Ben and Max Askren. This wrestling academy has transformed the state of Wisconsin into a national powerhouse. However, the relationship between Mitch and Ben started before Mitchell was even born. Hell, as a matter of fact, it started before he was even thought of. This is because Mitchell Mesenbrink's father, John Mesenbrink, was the high school coach of Ben and Max. So to understand how this all fell into place for Mitchell Mesenbrink to become the best wrestler in the NCAA field, let's take a look at John Mesenbrink.
One of the great leaders I've been around was Coach Mesenbrink.
John, a former wrestler himself, he would attend Drake University. After finishing up his career, he would then move on to coaching. And while coaching, John found out what his true passion was. And that would be developing wrestlers, but not developing them in skills or, anything like that. It would be developing athletes to gain a passion for the sport, so they would enjoy the process and they would enjoy getting better at the hardest sport known to man. Hell, John had so much passion for developing athletes, he would go back to school and get a master's degree in exercise science and health promotion with the emphasis on sports psychology. John was the main factor in Ben Askren in developing a deep love for the sport of wrestling. And with this deep love that Ben Askren has now finally discovered, he would come up with a new style of wrestling. And he would introduce it to the world, changing this landscape forever. Now in 2025, every wrestling coach in America teaches scrambling, and it all started with John Mesenbrink. And all John wanted to do was just make sure that all his athletes were having fun because he knew how hard wrestling already was. Wait a second, having fun? I've heard that before.
I did make the right decision because I just have so much fun here on a daily basis.
Before Mitchell Mesenbrink became the face of Penn State wrestling, he had a slow start to the sport. Starting at the young age of 5 years old, he would face something that most wrestlers face today, and that's being nervous to even compete. The best way I can describe it was Mitchell was putting the outcome over the process. He was only focusing on the end result, and that was winning.
I didn't even place going into my senior year at Fargo. I went, I don't know, probably like 4-2 or something. And that was just like, oh, geez, like that shouldn't be happening, And then I took 7th at Super 32, losing to...
And the evidence was in the pudding. Mitchell Mesenbrink wouldn't even place at Fargo going into his senior year of high school, and he would get 7th at Super 32. Yeah, he was already a 2-time state champion in the state of Wisconsin, but he had bigger goals for himself. John noticed that Mitchell wasn't doing the one thing that he wanted all his former athletes to do, and that was having fun. And he would step in and change his life in a major way. His father would begin to start making wrestling fun again. And he would do this by changing the approach that Mitchell had for the sport. So instead of just focusing on winning, it was like, hey, how can I get better? How can I keep developing the skills? The best way that Mitchell Mesenbrink has described this in the past is it was like building a puzzle. The sport became a game to Mitchell. So using this approach, it was totally different. It was like wearing glasses for the first time. Mitchell saw the sport in a different light, and the results showed.
It was, honestly, it was really fun. Like, I remember him making it fun in that sense, like, building the puzzle. Like, it was that.
After getting his 3rd state title, Mitchell would enter the 2022 US Open. And this is the first time I even knew who the hell this was, honestly. He would win the Open Finals with a tech fall over Panero Johnson. However, this wasn't the match that I was shook by. The match would happen in the round of 16 versus future national champion Caleb Henson. As I am from the state of Georgia and a true nerd of the sport, I thought Caleb Henson would get busy on Mesenbrink. This was not the case at all. as Mesenbrink would do literally what he did to everyone he wrestled at this tournament, and that's tech Caleb Henson. That's just even crazy to say out loud. But he would outscore the field 85 to 12 points. After seeing this, I had to look more into this. I had to see who Mitchell Mesenbrink was. And then I seen that he was going to California Baptist. So let's be so fucking for real right now. I know every college coach who was at that US Open was trying to talk him out of going to Cal Baptist. However, he would stay loyal. He would stay committed. He would go on that summer to get second at the U20 World Championships, which is pretty good. And I was still mind blown on why he was going to Cal Baptist. But I'm guessing that he didn't want to live in Wisconsin anymore, and living in California sounds like a better trade-off. However, only spending a semester at Cal Baptist, he would only compete in a couple matches, winning them all of course, but Mitchell wanted a change in his life, so he would then enter the transfer portal. And I think this is the moment right here that really changed the trajectory of his life. This is whenever he started getting closer to being the pound-for-pound great that we know now. He would leave California in December and would take classes online. The transfer portal wouldn't open until March, so during this time period, he'd be back where it all started, at AWA. During this time period, I think Mitchell developed so much, not only his wrestling skills, but also his outlook on the sport, having more fun. With his father and Ben by his side, Mitchell would be training with guys like a young Aiden Sinclair and both the Mirasola twins. Soon after the portal opened, Mitchell would announce to the world that he was going to his dream school. You guessed it, Penn State. But you have to remember, this is during the time period of NIL first starting, and Penn State just got another freshman All-American from Minnesota, Aaron Nagel. So the wrestling world and the coaches was just pissed and crying about Penn State buying legacy at this point. But Mesenbrink would go on to clear their reasons why he went to Penn State, and he said that NIL was less than 1%. And for what it's worth, I believe him. During this interview, Mesenbrink also talked about the training factors and how everyone at Penn State was having fun. Coming into Penn State, Mesenbrink already had a U20 World Silver Medal and a high wrestling pace. So there was a lot of expectations coming from the Penn State fans and I'm sure from the coaching staff. But where would he even fit in the lineup? Levi Haynes just ended his true freshman year as a Big Ten champion and a NCAA runner-up. Alex Fukonda was supposed to be the next big thing at Penn State. He was ranked #1 pretty much his whole high school career. He was also the #2 overall recruit in the class of 2021. The only problem was that Alex Fukonda failed to make the podium in his first crack at the starting lineup. And he had somewhat inconsistencies. So in the day and age of if you're not ready to make an NCAA title run from day one, you will be forgotten and buried in the lineup. So before the season even started, Alex Fukonda would announce that he was taking an Olympic red cert, starting the Mitchell Mesenbrink show. In the year 2023, Mitchell would make another world team, dominating the field. However, this caused more questions than answers. With the questions being, could he do this in folk style? Is he a top guy like his former teammate Keegan O'Toole, David Carr, or even returning All-American DJ Hamidi? And up until this point, he hasn't wrestled a lot of folk style. And remember, he got 7th at Super 32 his senior year at the NCAA tournament for the high school world. This takes us to the Journeyman Classic, and the start wouldn't be the best for Mitchell Mesenbrink. Him and Nico Ruiz of Arizona State would put on a shootout, and Mitchell would barely get the win. In a 14 to 10 point match, a week later, Mitchell would take on his teammate Terrell Bearclaw. With people who were always close to the Penn State program always said that Terrell was a great wrestler but could just never see the starting lineup because it was so deep. Another match where it was a close match but Mitchell found a way to win. But it wasn't the blowouts that he was used to in freestyle. But after this right here, Mesenbrink would display one of the best seasons at Penn State by a freshman, going unbeaten in the regular season, winning a Big Ten title, and one of the craziest matches I think I've ever seen versus a returning All-American. Which would be an important win for the future, as this would put David Carr and Keegan O'Toole on the same side, with Mitchell being a Big Ten champion and undefeated. At NCAA's, Mitchell will find himself in the finals, but this time versus David Carr.
The NCAA Wrestling Championships, 165 pounds. Mitchell Mesenbrink, the redshirt freshman from Heartland, Wisconsin.
And this would not go his way at all. Mesenbrink would end his freshman year as a national runner-up and a Big Ten champion. But during the finals, he would wrestle his ass off versus David Carr in one of the best finals matches of the night. I think this match right here alone answered every question, not only about him being a top guy or how good he was at folk style. Everything was resolved this season.
The Lions to go tonight, a perfect 26-0.
This takes us to the 2024-2025 season. And for the most part, 165 pounds was pretty much cleared out, with Keegan O'Toole and Dean both electing to move up to 174 pounds. And David Carr will be off to wrestle freestyle for full time. So Mitchell wanted to let everyone know that this was his weight class and they were going to do literally nothing about it. Mitchell would go on to have another season being unbeaten during the regular season, another Big Ten championship, and he would find himself in the finals again. But this time, he would get the win, beating a familiar foe in the finals, Michael Caliendo of Iowa, which is insane to think about because over the 2 seasons, Michael Caliendo has been getting his ass beat by Mitchell Mesenbrink on multiple, and I mean multiple occasions. He has beat this man like 5 to 6 different times. And if you've ever competed in a sport, you know how hard it is just to beat someone one time. So for him to do this many times and be that consistent, it just shows how special Mitchell Mesenbrink really is. However, I got a couple more reasons why Mitchell Mesenbrink is special and why these traits put him on a different level from every wrestler in the United States. There's so many quotes I could pull from the AWA tree, whether it's from Ben, his father John Mesenbrink, Keegan O'Toole, or Parker Kincaid. Like, those guys at AWA literally sound like they're just like all authors. But there's one quote that I've heard from Mitchell Mesenbrink, and it always sticks out to me when I'm watching him compete.
It's just not a matter, a matter of just when, not if it's going to happen, So just kind of keeping that in mind.
And the quote says, "It is a matter of when, not if." So whatever the goal is, he's never worried about if it's going to happen. He knows it's going to happen. He's just only questioning when is it going to happen. And when you have an outlook like this on any of your goals, the sky's truly the limit. Like, looking at Mitchell Mesenbrink, I think he's so special for 3 main factors, and let's go through each one of them. Wrestling sounds like an easy sport in theory, right? You just grab someone's legs, you put them to their back, and then that's pretty much it, right? My former coach used to say this all the time: just pin the guy and the match is literally over. Well, I still feel the same way about that saying as I did when he used to tell it to the team. And yeah, it sounds easy, but similar to the sport boxing, wrestling is also a science. And at the highest level, each match is like a 3D chess match. Knowing when to hit a move or why you're going to hit a move is the difference between you winning and losing. Since joining Penn State, Mitchell Mesenbrink has mastered the science of the sport. He has put together a style of wrestling similar to a game plan that a football coach would use. He does an amazing job of putting everything together. Every fake, every step, every shot has a purpose. And that purpose is simple: to support his game plan that he has spent years literally developing. Picture this: he gets his opponent to the edge of the mat via hand fighting and fakes. So now as the opponent, you have to circle back in or you're going to get hit with stalling. But instead you get a wrist snap while you were panicking, pressuring back in to get to the center of the mat. Or you take a bad shot on the edge and now he's running behind you. He fakes a shot, now you're reaching, trying to recover, and now he hits you with an arm drag. This is also paired with a pace that is just truly relentless from Mesenbrink, and he does it to everyone. Oh, you're the GOAT of USA Wrestling? He doesn't care. He has a game plan and he's just gonna stick to it. And that goes for anyone and everyone. But the IQ doesn't stop there for Mesenbrink. He has some of the best mat awareness I've ever seen. It's literally peak for the sport. He's always knowing where he is on the mat. Also, shot recovery is something I don't think gets talked about enough in the wrestling world. Taking a bad shot and not being able to recover for it is just going to lead to a multitude of problems. This can get you reattacked or put in a front headlock, but not Mitchell Mesenbrink. He has top tier shot recovery. I haven't seen shot recovery this good since Jason Knopf. With him having the awareness that if he's not going to get to the leg or have a high chance of finishing the shot, he can back out to reset the position. This leads to the scoring opportunities for his opponents to be very limited, with him never being in any real danger of being reattacked. The best example I can provide for this is the national finals versus Michael Caliendo. Look how many shots Mitchell took and look how many shots he got reattacked on. Like, it's insane. At Final Legs versus David Carr, he's known for having speed, but he couldn't even light up the scoreboard because his scoring chances were limited. This is because of the IQ that Mitchell possesses and always being defensively responsible. With all the skills that Mitchell possesses, I think that he has an underrated part of his game, and that is adjustments, but to be precise, mid-match adjustments. At the 2025 U23 finals, he would take a shot like literally 1 second into the match, but he would get taken down. 45 seconds later, he would do the same shot in the same position, but this time he would score, fixing a pass error. This shows that Mitchell's just seeing the field differently, almost like a video game, almost like he's out there having fun. Wait. The same coach who told me that wrestling's a simple sport also told me something else. Winning is a skill. And to put it blunt, Mesenbrink got that dog in him. Since joining Penn State, everyone has saw this, only having the one loss to David Carr in the finals. Mitchell is what you get when you put David Taylor and Jason off into a bottle and just shake it up and hope for the best. Everyone's always talking about the pace he has. And I can't lie, he definitely probably has the best pace I've ever seen for the sport. I've seen him break guys, All-Americans. Look at what he did to Cam Amin in his home gym, which is insane to process. Cam was already an All-American at this point in time. He comes from a great wrestling family. But Mitchell didn't care about any of this, and he would literally sun this man. Multiple stall calls, breaking him in the process. He deadass almost stalled this man out in his home gym. That is insane. And I think Mitchell just doesn't like Michigan because the next year, Cam Amin transferred to Oklahoma State, but Mitchell Mesenbrink would do the same thing to Bo. He would get the same treatment. He was beating him like he stole something at the Big Tens. But it's not just his pace that makes him a different breed. Like, Mitchell isn't scared to get down and dirty and bang it out with anyone. And Trail Taylor is a dog, and he was looking to take the fight to Mitchell Mesenbrink, but he didn't know that Mesenbrink would be game. He basically said, fuck it, let's just bang it out. The same thing would happen versus Ohio State and Bryce Hapner. It didn't matter what the place was. It didn't matter if it was a Big Ten Finals versus a returning All-American, or if it was the NCAA Finals versus a guy that he's beaten previously 4 times. He was willing to get down and dirty and really bang it out with him. And you just don't see that nowadays. If someone has a really good pace, you just rely on that. Like, just yeah, at some point in time, they're going to break. But if the guy doesn't break, I think of like the best example of this is Bo Bassett versus Luke Stanage. When Luke was in just as good a shape as Bo, like, what did he have after that? But Mitchell, completely different. He's not scared to bang it out.
Obviously, I want to score more points, but sometimes you got to battle. And I appreciate Mikey for... He wants to battle. There's not many people that do.
The final and the most important factor on why Mitchell Mesenbrink is special is his mindset and his outlook on wrestling. Like we discussed earlier in the video, Mitchell would face the same nerves that every wrestler in America faces, but luckily for him, he has a father who can develop passion for the sport of wrestling, making the process of having fun and developing instead of focusing on winning. John Mesenbrink didn't give the bullshit runaround that every coach in America says that if you're nervous, that means you care. He focused on developing how his son could have fun in the sport and not necessarily focusing on the outcome. The time that Mesenbrink spent back home at AWA whenever he was taking the semester off from college was good for him to stay in shape and sharpen his skills, but it was great for his mindset. And I'm sure when he got to Penn State, everything fit perfectly, because the same thing that his dad was preaching is the same thing that Kel Sanderson's always preached. Just go out there and have fun. Mitchell would just surrender the outcome of the match and only think about his game plan for the match. And in return, he was able to find the flow state, which is the best for any athlete for any sport. Being in a state of mind where you're just reacting off what you've been practicing and not necessarily focusing on winning. Tim Grover has a book called Relentless, and he was Michael Jordan's trainer, and he talks about Michael Jordan finding the flow state for every big moment. And I feel that Mitchell Mesenbrink does the same thing. Instead of getting down on himself about a loss, I'm sure it did not taste good to lose to David Carr at Final X, but instead of soaping about it, he thought, how can we fix it so this doesn't happen again? Because you have to remember, it's not about if it's going to happen, it's only about when is it going to happen. So this has been a deep dive into Mitchell Mesenbrink and what sets him apart from every other college wrestler and makes him the #1 pound for pound. But what about the future for Mesenbrink? As I stated earlier, I think he's the most likely to win an NCAA champion this year. I don't even think Iowa would bet against him this year. But just like in high school, when he was a 2-time state champion, Mitchell has bigger goals for himself. He wants to win at the highest level, and the U23 championships just showed that he could do just that. David Carr has been the only person to give Mitchell Mesenbrink problems in both folk style and freestyle. Carr is just as hungry as Mesenbrink and has the same goals. I think Mitchell Mesenbrink can reach the levels of the great John Smith, Jordan Burroughs, Cal Dake, and even David Taylor. With the 2028 Olympics fast approaching, the Olympic trials at 74 kilograms is going to be literally insane. But one person who could be a real problem for Mitchell, outside of David Carr is someone that he's training with right now, and that's PJ Duke, because he's coming. But Mitchell Mesenbrink is truly on a different level from everyone in the field at 165 pounds. I'm excited to see him wrestle this year, and especially whenever it rolls around for freestyle season again and the World Team Trials, because honestly, I'm going to end the video after this. I think he can beat Sidikoff.
Then maybe you could try to beat him, but that's why it's fun for me, because I get to keep on adding new techniques to try to